Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fresh Off the Set. I'm your host, David Osmond, and I'm here with a great friend that I've gotten to know over the years by being a host on this show, on Fresh Living. Pastor Shawn Clay. He's the executive director of the Salt Lake City Mission. And I'm going to let him explain exactly what they do because there's a whole bunch under the hood. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he's just the kind of guy that lights up a room. He walks in immediately like best friends for life. Like, wow. Yeah, who is this guy? Like, he has so much joy and exudes that. And through life experiences, as I've come to know him and learn about his history, I can see why. The good, the bad, the ugly. You learn from the ups and the downs.
Sure.
And I just wanted to invite him to come on the podcast because his life experience is something I think we can all learn from. And then be able to also, especially those that see someone that is less fortunate or someone that maybe you might turn a blind eye to, you might take another look because as the human element, we connect on that. And as children of a heavenly Father, as we believe, and Shawn and I have been talking about that, we are all, if we are brothers and sisters, what are we going to do about that?
Right.
And how can we step up our game just to be a little bit kinder? The golden rule, all those cliches, they're there for a reason. Whether you're religious or faithful or not, what matters is the humanity of things because people are people.
Right.
And building that bond with each other makes the world a little bit of a better place. A little wink and a smile, a pat on the back and a hug. And looking at someone with that love versus contempt it goes a long way.
It sure does.
I'm so grateful that you decided to sit down with me today. You have quite a story. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Shawn Clay.
Thank you, David, for having me, and I'm just so appreciative for this experience and your friendship and just the love that you guys show the Salt Lake City Mission and myself here at Channel 2. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Well, for those that are listening, don't know what the Salt Lake City Mission is. Can you give us a little brief synopsis, what it is and what you do over there?
Sure. We're at 1151 South Redwood Road, Suite 106.
In Salt Lake City?
In Salt Lake City, yes. And what we do there, we do a lot of things. We have a men's recovery program. And again, all of our services are free. We don't charge for anything. Our men's recovery program, it's an inpatient recovery program that is totally free. We also have church services on Sundays starting at 11 o'clock. And
cool.
Come by. There's some really hot services. Yes. And we also do Bible study, and we do Bible study Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. That starts, and anybody's welcome. The public, if you want to come in and just check it out, you're welcome to do that. We serve breakfast at the mission every morning. We also do 2 outreaches, one at Rio Grande where we serve coffee and donuts, and then we do one at Transitional Housing where we serve coffee and donuts there too. And these are 6 days a week that we're doing these things.
It's all the time.
Yes.
The need is always there.
Oh, yes, it doesn't go away.
This is a free program. Just to reinstate that, like this is because of the goodness of people's hearts because they're able to give. You said the men's recovery program.
Yes.
You have the food insecurity program. You have clothing. People donate their clothing and jackets and gloves and beanies. I mean, it's getting cold here.
It really
in
is,
Utah, and there's homeless and there's people living on the streets, and to not have that. And for you to provide that is a massive game changer for so many lives.
It sure is, and like I was saying, I've been there. I was homeless for many, many, many years before I came to the Salt Lake City Mission.
So you've lived this
experience. Exactly. I know how cold it gets out there at nighttime.
Goodness.
And not having a coat, or even if you do have a coat, once your body temperature gets down to a certain temperature, it gets hard to warm up. Even we have people that come into our offices in the morning because we have a day area that's a safe place for people to come.
Yeah.
They can come, they can eat, they can just have a safe place to be. And, it's interesting because when they come in, they don't take their coats off. They may have like 3 coats on, and they don't take them off because they're just so cold. And they've been out all night long. And so the need for coats and things like that at this time of year is so great.
And as the executive director of this program, you've been in that position for how long?
I've been in this position for 3 years, but before that, I was in programming. I was assistant to the program director. I was chaplain, and in those two offices. And then about 3 years ago, the position for executive director came up, and I didn't really want to go into there because, executive director, whoa, what's that? So I was comfortable in programming, and I was comfortable being a chaplain. So
now you're carrying the reins. You're leading the way.
Yes. And it's such a blessing because coming through the program in 2008 and now leading the Salt Lake City mission. So it's really a blessing to come from nothing at all, really, and to come to where I am today. And I'm just so thankful and so blessed, and I thank God for what he can do in our lives if we let him.
Amen to that. You're from Syracuse, New York.
Yes.
You've moved around a little bit. You ended up in Oklahoma. Well, from New Hampshire is where you're at.
Yes, I was born in New Hampshire. Yes,
and then
Syracuse, from New Hampshire.
Syracuse, New York, and went to Oklahoma. And then you realized, if I understand right, 1995 is when you said, I heard there's jobs in Utah.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about that journey and what brought you here. And then ultimately, like you said, 2008 is when you entered the program. What does that journey kind of look like in your mind, and how did you get here?
As I look back now, I can see how things lined up in order to get me to where I am now, but going through it in real time, you don't see that. So you're right. I started out in New Hampshire, Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Then we moved to Syracuse, New York. And then in my life, by the time I was, I believe, 18, I had been in so much trouble that I did a year in Janesville Correctional Facility, got out at 19, and my mom was like, you're getting in too much trouble here. You need to go to Oklahoma and live with your dad. So I was on a plane the next day, went out there, and, things weren't perfect out there either. So, I traveled around and was homeless, and, my addiction was full grown. Wow. And I heard about Salt Lake. And I believe it was my destiny to come here. So I came to Salt Lake, and I still had my life-controlling issues. I still, was homeless and things like that. So, and then I found myself to where I was still on the streets and, still doing things. And I ended up going to prison out here.
Okay.
And, to Draper. And I believe that was in 1999. When I went to prison, and I went for 0 to 5, and I got out, but and then I still, didn't have, I still didn't take care of my life controlling issues, and came out of prison, had nowhere to go, so I went to a halfway house, and I still never addressed my trauma, I still never addressed my my addiction. And so what ended up happening was years later of being out on the streets and things like that, I ended up so low at, people say, what's your lowest point? And I had lowest points. I didn't just have one.
It wasn't a rock bottom. It was, you were smashing through floors.
Right. And and it was my normal. It became my normal. I got used to being there, and then I realized, and again, I thank God that he's a God that speaks, because he would tell me that your life's never going to be right till you come to me. And I just one day
through all those hitting the floor over and over.
Yes.
You could feel that.
Yes. And so after that, like I said, I left Salt Lake, went to Oklahoma, and then I came back in 2008 to Salt Lake, and I only left here for a year. And I went out to Oklahoma. I was living with my dad, and a church came through passing out water. and that's why outreach, is very important. Meeting people right where they're at is very important.
Yes, sir.
And so they passed me a bottle of water, and the pastor goes, God wants to bless you. And I'm like, who are you, and how do you know? and then, but he seen something in me, and he kept coming back and kept talking to me. I ended up going to church, and I ended up getting saved. And I stayed out there for a year, and I came back. And this is where somebody told me about the Salt Lake City mission, because I never knew anything about any of these places. And so someone told me about the Salt Lake City mission. I started going to Bible study, and then they told me about the program, and I was kind of like, I don't know. And then one day I was leaving, and I said, you know what? I need to just go back in there and get in the program. So I turned around, went back in, and joined their recovery program. And
made all the difference.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. They met me right where I was at. They loved me just where I was at, and that's what we all need. People just didn't meet us right where they're at and not judge, but love.
Yeah.
So that really made a difference for me.
And no filters on the eyes too, just to pull that wool off and say, this is reality. This is where I am and where you are. And let's come together as all of us imperfect people trying to find a path and find a little bit of happiness, find a little bit of joy, and then just reach out. The fact that just a simple water bottle started this whole thing.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. The butterfly effect of that little moment to where you are now affecting the lives of so many people.
Yeah, a 50
because
cents
of that
bottle
one
of water.
small act.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it just goes to show we don't have to do huge things. Just small things, as you were saying, just passing someone a bottle of water.
Just to be seen.
Right, exactly. And showing kindness. And that's what I love about Salt Lake. I love this valley. I love this city. I seen the heart of this city, and I see the heart of this city. And I'm so thankful to be here.
I'm so grateful you are as well, yeah. And I'm so grateful to know you. The history of the Salt Lake City mission is 38 years running.
Yes.
It's an everyday battle, but it's an everyday challenge, but also a triumph. What was the genesis of this? Who started the Salt Lake City mission?
Okay, Pastor Wayne Wilson and his wife Monica. First, Pastor Wayne started it on his own, and then he got married, and Monica Wilson, his wife, came up beside him and just did amazing work in this valley. But
so are they from Utah and they saw the need?
I believe Monica was from Hawaii. She passed, but and Pastor Wayne is retired. But I believe Pastor Wayne is from here. Yes, he's from Utah.
Okay,
he's from right here. Yes,
good. That's amazing. Good on
is.
them. That's incredible to start this, see the need, and then do something about it. And I'm sure as you've probably interacted still with Pastor Wayne.
Most definitely.
He must be thrilled with
yes.
the accomplishments you're doing now. It's carrying the torch forward.
Yes, he is. He is. And
Good.
Also, I mean, thousands and thousands, I would even say tens of thousands of people have come through the recovery program and also just come through our doors and find the Salt Lake City mission a safe place to be. And that's one thing that I'm really making sure that it will always be is a safe place for people to come, just like they are, and meet them and love them right where they're at.
What do you think, coming from being homeless, substance abuse, of challenge, and going from as you said, nothing to nothing, and not having anybody? What do you think, having been there, what's the biggest misconception that people might have about the homeless, about those that are needing a hand up? What do we not see?
I think that we can kind of, not understand it and not look at at the person and realizing that, maybe they experience trauma, that has them out there where they're at. And, the things that we see are just manifestations of the wounds that they have. See them as people and wonder what brought them to where they're at. What happened in their life, what happened in their childhood, what things have they experienced? Because not everybody is on the streets because of drugs. Some people are on there because they couldn't pay their rent.
Yeah.
Some people are on there because they don't have affordable housing. Some people are on the streets because their house burnt down. They've been kicked out. There's all kinds of reasons that people are on the streets, and it's not. But we see, the manifestations of the problems. We see the drug use and things like that. But a lot of people that are on the streets didn't start out like that.
Right. It's easy to put people into a box and just think what we know. Everyone has a story. Everyone has a book inside them.
Yes.
Has something to tell, something to learn from.
Most definitely.
And we're all still writing that story. And as we put our pre-assumptions down, as we have a little more empathy, a little more compassion.
Yes.
We might see
the person.
We may see God in that experience and feel that same thing that you felt, that him talking to you, of that you have purpose.
And feel that pulling to do something also. Because a lot of times we can, we'll drive past people and we'll see, people struggling and just look at the struggle and look where they're at now. And we need to look at people. They're people. They're human beings. Yeah. They're your family members. They're people that they're your neighbors. They're people that have a story, and just one snapshot of where they're at in time right now really isn't a good service to ourselves or to other people, because as you hear my story, people do change and they can change. And with God, all things truly are possible. And so that's why it's so important that we meet people right where they're at. And I'm not just saying the Salt Lake City Mission. I'm saying the public also.
Yeah.
us as what we call residents of Salt Lake City. What do you call them? Salt Lakeans or
Utahns?
Utahns. Let's do that.
Yeah,
Utahns.
make it easy.
Yeah, thank you. So, as Utahns, we can we have such great hearts here and people that want to help. And so, and it doesn't take much, like we were talking. I like to keep at times little tracks, encouraging tracks in my car. So when I see someone panhandling, if I have some in my car, give that to them so that they, in their downtime, and they can have something to read. They can have something to encourage them, or also just snacks, keeping granola bars and things like that in the car, and just giving it out to people as you're at your stoplight and someone comes and asks you for some spare change.
So I was going to ask about that. As you go to the lights and there's someone that's sitting there with the sign, and there's a whole bunch, and there's the gamut of people that are, of course, doing that. So it's hard not to kind of maybe put that judgmental those glasses on and say, well, I don't know where this is going to go. What should we know about that? And I would think going through an organization like the Salt Lake City Mission, who can really curate that, and get the resources to the right people, is probably the cleanest way to go. When we see someone on the street, is it better to give that little snack versus the dollar?
Whatever your heart is led to do, but definitely give to a place like the Salt Lake City Mission, because it's not just that moment that we want to help them with. We want to help them all year round. And the Salt Lake City Mission does that. So financial gifts to the Salt Lake City Mission go to all year round helping the people that you see out on the streets. But also, everybody needs water. Everybody needs food. So if you keep those in your car and you see somebody panhandling and you give that to them, at least they got the things that they need, water and food and things like that. So if you're not comfortable giving financially to panhandlers, then just give them water and give them some snacks to have.
Yeah. The principle of give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat forever.
Exactly.
Is that the mission, the Salt Lake City Mission? Is that what you're fixing a current need right now? A desperation of, I am hungry, I'm cold, I need shelter. Let's provide that, and then let's perpetuate a further assistance to help get you off the ground and onto your feet. And how does that program work, if you were to encapsulate it in this conversation?
Our motto is not providing spare change, not just providing spare change, but real change.
Yeah.
And so, and that kind of looks like,
I like that.
When people come in, whether they decide to join our program or not, like I said, we have a safe area, which is our day room. And we invite everybody in, whether they're still struggling with drugs, whether they're still struggling with life-controlling issues, whether they're mentally ill, whatever, we provide that safe place. And then we kind of see people that are ready for a program, and then we talk to them, we interview them and see if that's something that they want, this type of program, or we just provide a safe place where people can be comfortable and then hopefully get to that decision, because sometimes it's just, showing people you care, showing people that you love them, showing people that you're there for them, and building that rapport with them to where they start to trust you and you can start talking to them about things. And that doesn't happen overnight. So I love that we have that day area to invite people in and build relationships. And then once that starts to get built, and we know at the Salt Lake City Mission that we're not the end all be all. So we have definitely partners in the Valley that are other programs. And if they're not a good fit for us, we definitely refer them to other programs that we know about, so we can continue to get people the help that they need, even if it's not at our program.
Gotcha. There's a lot of great people doing good things.
Oh, most definitely.
It takes a massive amount of effort to do it, and you guys are making you're a big part of that, certainly. And as you do outreach to other programs and help support each other, there's definitely a strength in numbers when it comes to that.
Yes.
This is so cool for us to hear and kind of think about and speak about, especially during not just a holiday season, but through every day of the year. The need never goes away.
Right.
Those that are listening, how can they get involved? How can they make the impact? Where can they give? Can they donate their time? What resources can those listening provide to the Salt Lake City Mission and other programs?
One thing that we definitely need, especially right now, obviously it's wintertime, coats, gloves, things like that.
Yeah.
But Also, and if anybody has any needs, they want to volunteer, they can check out our website, saltlakeCityMission.org,
okay.
or they can give us a call, 801-355-6310. They can do that. They can even ask for me, or they can come down to our office at 1151 South Redwood Road, Suite 106.
And that's where you drop off the goods. You drop off jackets and all those clothes, and then you will vet them and then get them to the right people.
Yes, definitely. They can drop off those donations, and if they need to, we can come pick them up also.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and you can give monetary donations on our website, saltlakeCityMission.org. It's safe there. And I'd love to, if anybody wants to come down, just ask for Pastor Shawn. I'll take you on a tour and show you what we have. And
it will be well worth the trip, I promise you.
Yes,
to anyone listening, Pastor Shawn Clay is truly a great person and to be admired. I'm so grateful for this friendship.
Thank you so much.
For those that need the places to sleep, needs shelter, do you guys also have facilities? Do you have a place for them to be able to have a good night?
Do you
have all that in place, or do you have associates or relationships that you accommodate that?
We have relationships that we can send people to, other organizations that we send people to if their issue is housing or they need shelter. But that's another need that the Salt Lake City Mission has. We would love to get into getting a shelter and having also a women's program. But the thing is that takes money. And it takes a building. So, we definitely need a bigger space. And if anybody has any ideas on that, by all means, give us a call, 801-355-6310. We're trying to get into getting a women's program and getting a shelter going. But again, we need help from the public to do so.
It's not a quick fix.
No, it's not.
It's a long game, and you're making those steps possible to where you're growing and making a big impact. And I champion you, and we all do as your friend. And any resources we can do to provide awareness and in kind, we're so happy to be a part of what you're doing and to give you that platform. So thank you for taking the time today. Any last messages you'd like to share with our audience?
I would just like to say thank you, Salt Lake, for all the support you have given the Salt Lake City Mission. And thank you, Channel 2 in podcasts. And thank you for your partnership and your friendship. Really appreciate it.
Well, you always brighten my day. I know that for a fact. I'm grateful for you. I'm so glad to see where you are, to having turned your life around, now paying it forward to other people.
Sure.
It is a beautiful thing, and I'm just grateful for all that you do. Anything we can do to support you, we're here for you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks a lot. Pastor Shawn Clay, everybody. Thanks for listening to Fresh Off the Set. I'm David Osmond. It's just a great conversation, a great guy. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you soon.
Congrats, you made it to the end. If you want to continue to freshen up your day, you can watch us on Fresh Living every weekday on CBS Channel 2 in Utah at 1 o'clock. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel, KUTV Fresh Living, and follow us on social media. We will see you next week.